But Dave, let's move on. Let's go into a topic. This is a Dave Oster topic.
Is it?
You brought this up to me yesterday, and I was like, fuck it, let's roll with it today because of what we saw this weekend from some of the college games and the G League Ignite games is there's sort of a, what's the word I want to use? A thought, a belief out there, Dave, that the early success of what we are seeing, especially from like a Jonathan Kuminga, and then this weekend, obviously, Dacian Nix and JG4, they kind of showed up for the first time. And I'm talking about stat lines. They kind of popped off a little bit before having some games to where it was like kind of not so great, stat-wise, I'm saying. And people are starting to look at it, and like you brought up to me yesterday, where it's like, are they proving this is now the new alternative for like, if you're going to be a top draft pick, I want to go this route compared to going to college. Now, this will be the deeper dive of the show, Dave. I knew this would be the deeper dive than the first topic. I'm going to let you kind of steer this one wherever you want to start with it, because this is the topic that you brought up. This is kind of your baby.
Well, I think that the question you have to initially ask is just like, is there a positive? I guess what are the positives so far we've seen out of G League year one? And I think we were incredibly lucky to see a number of very highly rated high school prospects decide to take them up on it. We got, I forget their RCI rankings, but like 2 top 10 players, a top 20 player, and then I think 2 top 50 players after that. Obviously, Kai Soto will be coming over after he wraps up with the international games. He's playing for the Philippines.
Yep, you're right.
Nailed it. Got countries. But because we got such top end talent, and I'm not saying top end talent never misses. If you go back previous years, we do this fairly often when we look at drafts. It's like, who are the top 25 players from 2016? Where are they now? Kind of thing. And it's always fun to see how many hit, how many miss, how far off people were on some players. So because we were so lucky to get such a talented class hit the G League, I don't think we ever expected this team to look as good as they do. And I think the mix that they put together out there of aged veterans together with them, like player coaches, basically they got like 3 Udonis Haslams out there playing in games. And I love it because Jarrett Jack out there taking all those shots shouldn't happen. But that man still thinks he's playing for a contract with the Nets, which I think is hilarious. But he's a great mentor for JG4. And I think that you want to have someone smart, crafty, someone who is a student of the game there to teach the young kids, this is how life is in the NBA. This is how you play up tempo. This is how you recognize situations on the court. Like the coaching and the attention to detail and the NBA level of play is what you're not getting in high school. Or I'm sorry, what you're not getting in college.
Yeah.
So I think that it's a win for the players because it's a super talented group. My question is, is it a one size fits all? Do I see all the top talent being like, well, if they're going to go to the G League, have an incredible level of success and get drafted higher than expected, like, why wouldn't I want to go there? I think a lot of it is just like, where does my game showcase? If you want to go to a blue blood and play under a Coach K or, under Cal or one of these, legendary college. I keep saying high school. I'm sorry. Yeah. Legendary college coaches. It is definitely up to you to do that, but understand it's a very different game in college than it is in the G League. Big man on campus definitely has its perks. Yeah. No one will argue with that. And it's not like you're in a situation where, hey, let's look at Quentin Grimes, a player who got some love from you recently, Ricky. I was a huge fan of him coming out of high school. I was like, him and Dotson are going to wreck down there at Kansas. Turns out they both struggled to get out of the gates. They were a little slower to the game than we had hoped. The expectations were too high for them. Dotson came out after his sophomore year as an undrafted free agent. The Bulls picked him up. I love the idea because, again, he was such a good pick and roll ball player. It's exactly what you want in your modern point guards. But Quentin Grimes was a top, prospect who is still in college in his 3rd year. Now, if you're a G League player and you're by your 3rd year, like, what happens? Like, how does that work? If you're in the G League, you don't get drafted. You just get put back in the G League cycle again. Yeah. I think there's a lot of questions, a lot of expectations they have to figure out there. So I think if you're maybe a player who is not a guaranteed 1st round pick, or if you're thinking that, hey, There's a situation where I would rather have the chance to be an upperclassman, enjoy my time in college, get my degree, and have a chance to go to the NBA. Like, that's fine. That's where I think like there's a balancing act of it's not one size fits all, but at the same time, like there are huge upsides to playing in the G League.
And the thing I'm gonna throw Twitch chat here where Mad Rogue says, and I'm gonna correct some things because this was on me not setting it up properly, but he says, okay, one, I'm pretty sure most of these guys were top prospects in college or not. You're right in a way. Like JG4 was, I'm looking at the 24/7 sports rankings, and JG4 was number 2 right behind Cade. Then you had Evan Mobley at 3. You had Jonathan Kuminga at 4. Then you had Dave's boy, Brandon Boston Jr. at 5, Dave. He's not really Dave's boy. I love throwing that at Dave.
Anytime you can mention Brandon Boston and struggle in the same sentence.
Dacian Nix was 17. They're all top 20. Also Isaiah Todd too, who's on this team. He was 20. So all 4 of them top 20 overall.
Yeah, I think I nailed that pretty much.
The other thing Mad Rogue says, and this is what I want to correct, is 2, they've played 1 game so far compared to a good chunk of the season, so small sample size. G League just played their 4th game today. G League Ignite. They're 4-0. 97-90 win over the Wolves. Now, I'm stat picking here, so take it as you may. Kuminga went 3 of 13 from the field, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, only had 7 points, 3 turnovers. JG4 had 22, 5 of 11 from the field, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. And then you had Dacian Nix, 8 points, 3 of 9 from the field, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. Nix had 2 turnovers. JG4 had 3 turnovers. So, I mean, it's not, I get that it's still a small sample size, but it's 4 games, not 1 game, kind of a small correction there. And the thing I was telling you, Dave, is I feel like the big thing that goes into this is, I'm glad you brought up Quentin Grimes because it brings up a good point. Like, I feel like I almost feel like if you're a player that, and this takes a lot of like looking within yourself as a player. If you know, it's like, okay, I'm not a one and done kind of a player. I'm someone that's going to be, I'm basically looking at 2 to 3 years until I'm looking at the draft. Maybe college might work better than the G League because, yet again, what do? You just go back to the G League? Then is it kind of looked at as a stigma of like, oh, what's wrong with him? Like, yet again, I'm not saying that would happen, but is the G League supposed to be just like, hey, it's a one and done thing? You get your time here, you work with pros, boom, you go to the NBA. It's the John Calipari kind of with steroids. That's an interesting thing to look at. Number 2 is, I look at some of these prospects. You got Evan Mobley, who is from California, playing at USC. With his brother. You've got Scotty Barnes from Monteverde, Florida. Monteverde, Florida. He's playing at Florida State. There are guys like Greg Brown from Austin, Texas, playing at fucking Texas with the Longhorns. There's a reason why they picked this. Like, for example,
Cade playing with his family as a coach. Shocker.
Like, that's the thing. Most of these guys have it in there to where it's like, I want to play with, like, for example, I brought up Coach K when we were talking about it. Like, I'm going to go to Duke. I want to play with Coach K because that's the coach I want to play with. And I don't think players, when they go and choose schools, like, the only players I can think of off the top of my head that almost did this were the Fab Five, where you watch that documentary and they had the self-awareness to go, hey, I want to go to Michigan. Yo, Rose, why don't we team up? Juwan Howard, Derrick Rose. Hey, we're all playing in AAU together. We have a good commit. Why don't all 5 of us go to the same school? Like,
Ricky, that literally happened with RJ, Zion, and Cam.
No, I know. Like
2 years ago.
Yet again, but we don't see that every year. That's a more recent example. I think
we are seeing that more often because of the AAU circuit.
Okay, because this year, not a lot. Yet again, each year is going to be different recruit-wise. But this year there wasn't like a like the school that got most of the top 20 recruits last year was Kentucky got Boston, who was 5, Terrence Clark, who was 8. And then the other one is the Tar Heels that got Caleb Lubb at 14 and Dayron Sharp at 15. Like, you don't see that every year. And should we start to see that then from college, where players in the AAU circuit go, yo, let's go here together, rather than the, just like, for example, Jalen Johnson, I'm just throwing out a name, of like I want to go here because I want to play for this school. This is where I want to go. Fit be damned, because like you were bringing up with Jalen Johnson, not a lot of room for him out there, where he got benched in a game recently because it was like,
that
well, we
motherfucker
got a
should be
player
playing
that can do it.
35 a night. Don't care how bad your team is, because your team sucks already.
Yeah.
So you should be getting the most out of your players. And that's the thing that's frustrating to see, is the like, is he being held back at the college level? Because I think his game would succeed in the G League. I think we would see him thrive. He's someone who I think is hurting his own stock. I don't know by how much, because I think everyone sees the raw talent there and how physical, how many tools he has to his game, but he doesn't get to shine.
Yeah.
I think if he were in the G League Ignite, I think he would. I absolutely think that Jalen would thrive in G League. And that's the thing that I'm like, I get it. Not every failure in college would instantly be a success in the G League, but I do think that the G League provides a different style of play. I think you're completely different sports almost between college basketball, the pros, G League, Euro League, the NBL down in Australia. Like these are all, yes, we're playing the same sport. Even the Israeli League, like all of this shit's different. Yes, we're playing the same sport, but they're all different.
Yeah.
And that's what I think people have started to realize after watching European prospects come over and their commentary on the game and how easy it is to play. Like Luka making the joke of how easy it is for him to score in the NBA compared to Europe, because
or
the rules are
coming
different.
over from the NBL.
LaMelo coming over from the NBL, where
Melo, Dave. Melo.
Just Melo coming over from the NBL, being hilariously over criticized and scrutinized for his play style, his shooting, his everything. That was a little more personality because of the ball brand, though. To be fair, that hurt his stock a little. But clearly thriving with an NBA wide open play style, pass first mentality, open ball movement. Everything ticks the right boxes for his style of play.
Yeah.
I think if he was on some college team like Cade Cunningham with 4 other guys who aren't going to sniff the NBA in their fucking life, like he wouldn't look as good. Duh. And that's the point I want to drive home here is I'm not saying the G League is the answer to all my problems. I'm saying the G League is an awesome answer for some of the top talent in the nation to get a head start, to showcase their talents in a way that they would never be able to do in college, and to work with better coaches, better sports trainers, and strength and conditioning coaches, and to pick the brain of NBA veterans. Yes, it's not the most glamorous lifestyle, being on the road in the G League, but obviously the NBA is trying to work that into, hey, we're a showcase team. We are the it factor to this G League, which has been growing. Like I said last week, they've gotten so much better. Their level of play, the quality of play has gotten so much better over the last 6-7 years. I cannot say enough good about how the G League is transforming itself and its potential pitch for kids coming out of high school.
Now, here's a question I'm going to ask is this is obviously the first year we've had this. So obviously it's only 4 kids, because we usually say the top 3. I'm going to add Isaiah Todd in there because technically he was in the same recruiting class as the other 3.
He is,
Obviously, we didn't see a lot of guys. First off, it's if this gets more interest from recruits, how should the NBA approach this? Like, I'll ask you, how many slots on this team should the NBA allow? That's question 1. And then question 2 is, let's say I'm going to throw out Chet Holmgren from next year's recruiting class, where let's say he's like, all right, I've given a verbal to Gonzaga because right now they're the one that lead him 100% on his rankings. I've given a commit to Gonzaga, but I am going to, do they do like a draft where it's like, hey, we got 6 slots. And you know what? If you're not drafted, like, would colleges be okay? Not okay, but like, would colleges revoke offers if a player was like, hey, I verbally commit to you, but if I'm drafted in the G League, I'm going to go to the G League. Like, is there going to be a workaround to where it's like, well, if you know you're going to get drafted, go. But the guys on the fringe where it's like, hey, I'm not going to make that top 6. Should they just not even put their name in, or should they just say, fuck it, I'm just going to go to college? Like, how does this evolve going forward, do you think?
I think that the G League needs to be careful and not take in guys who are ranked like, 240.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that will not help the cause. That will not help the showcase. The idea, as far as I understand it, is this is the showcase of the next rising stars of the NBA. So you can't take on guys who aren't sure things. So I think there has to be an internal cap of, we will take up to X amount of players. Whether that number is 5 or 10, I don't know. I mean, if we're saying, hey, I'm the commish now, I'm Adam Silver, I would love it to be 10. I think 10 kids out of the top 75. You might even say 10 on the top 100. It depends on what the reception's like. If I get 40 people who want to join all of a sudden, then I can get more specific. I can cherry pick. And that would be cool, because you could literally have like veteran NBA GMs like who have moved on from their active job. Or you could even pair up and be like, hey, Jerry West, here's what we're looking at. Who would you like to see on the NBA showcase in the G League? And you can go ahead and float it to multiple GMs. Like, that would be an insane move, not only for marketing, not only for prospect scouting, but also opportunity to, you're already putting in the time with these GMs. That would be so cool.
I just got an idea from Retro. So Retro in Twitch chat says, I think the G League can be a good alternative, just not on the same team. Maybe guys will try to hurt their fellow teammates' value by not passing and just trying to do everything. And they said, like, I don't mean hurt their teammates, but like hurt their value.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
First off, I take that and I go, but we're not seeing that through 4 games with these guys.
No one's vindictive like that. I think that's a maturity thing, that if it happened, like literally for a minute and a coach saw it, your ass would be on the fucking bench. You'd be fucking done.
What about this though? And this is where I come into it of, let's say, and yet again, it depends on how much interest there is. What if the NBA says this? Like, okay, we got a lot of interest in this. Yeah. We're only going to take 30 players. And how it's going to be based off of is, and just hear out the whole thing, and then this is why. 30 players. If we're less than that, we take less. If it's more, like let's say they have 40 players that are interested, it's based off of your high school ranking. So the first
who's
30
high school ranking? Your 24/7, your RCI, your ESPN.
Maybe they do a thing like what the old recruiting sites used to do, where they take all the sites, they put them together and they average them, and they say,
that's
okay,
why I like getting the GMs involved.
Average, or they do that. My point is,
you give the fucking franchises a little say in it.
Yeah,
give them a little say. You know what I'm saying?
Point is, if the G League puts it out, there's 30 guys that these are the top 30 guys that G League thinks there are, and they put one guy per G League team.
2 teams don't have a G League team.
Then 28. Then it just goes down. With me, I didn't know if all 30 were, so that's why I said 30.
I don't yet.
So 28. Then it's 28 players, and you put one player on each team. Therefore, you could do the same thing, but then we get the added thing of like the one thing we're not seeing with these players is I'm not seeing JG4 go up against Jonathan Kuminga. I'm not seeing, like, you might get that a little bit more of, I want to see them go mano-a-mano in some games like we get in some college games rather than just playing together. And then therefore it's like you're kind of spreading the love on some G League teams and not taking a ton of roster spots.
I think long-term that might be something possible, but right now I'm concerned with the lack of quality control because not every franchise values the G League the same way. If you get put on the 905 Raptors, you're feeling pretty fucking fantastic. You're like, look, this group of guys gives the most fucks about my development, my growth. And that's the other thing, because they aren't being drafted technically, they're just going into the G League on a, like, here's my 1 year outside of this. Why do the 905 Raptors have any incentive to play him over their own players who they do have under contract, who they are developing? Like, it gets a little murky there. That's one of the concerns around that. And say you're not on one of the franchises that, you know, hey, this team, they do have a G League team, but they're not very good. They don't have the best coaching staff. Like, the G League Ignite was basically cherry picked. How can we make the best possible experience for these kids? And that's the thing is you get the right mix of veterans and young kids together. And that's what I really love is being able to have a mentor there for you means so much.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that if you're on another G League team, you might not have that because some of these guys in G League, no offense, are never going to be in the NBA.
Yeah.
And you can get like a 28-year-old who's never going to be in the NBA.
They're living out their dream, just being
yeah.
able
I mean,
to play
hey,
basketball.
there's nothing wrong with that, but like, there's also what is the goal of the G League in the NBA's mind? What is your end goal as Adam Silver to build out for the G League? Are you just saying we want to get our hands on the top talent in high school before they even touch college because we think that this is another marketable set of games that we can have set up maybe during a different time of year, maybe during different gaps in the season we can highlight these games and get more marketing around them, get more media, build the brand before they are even stars. Like it really depends on, or is your goal just competitive basketball, in which case the one per team thing probably works out best. But at the same time, like I said, like, hey, the 905 Raptors, the Spurs, G League organization, those have been fantastic, and they're known for their player development. Meanwhile, you look at some others, and you're like, well, I mean, it exists. Anybody fucking go up from there? No? Not a fan of going there. Like, hey, if I'm a SoCal kid and I have commits or I have offers from Michigan, Duke, UNC, or I can go play in the G League in like, I don't know, fucking Pittsburgh. Like, no offense, Pittsburgh, but like,
yeah. I mean, that's also a thing you bring this up, and we gotta at least mention it. The one thing that is different this year about a normal year is they're all playing their games in sunny Florida. They're all playing them at Orlando where the bubble was last year. Next year, when hopefully COVID is gone, bye, I haven't loved you, get the fuck out of here. Is it going to be as appealing to where it's like, where do you base the team out of? Where do they play their home games? Like
the plan prior to the bubble was to have them as the showcase team. So they would stay in one location and teams would rotate through their gym in California.
So all their games would be a home game, basically.
Yeah, they would be in California the entire time, which again, who the fuck wouldn't want to do that? Like,
I mean,
that was a hell of a sales pitch. We're like, we're going to pay these kids out of high school $500,000. You're going to work with the best staff, best trainers.
Yeah.
You're going to stay in SoCal. I think it's SoCal. Like, whatever. It doesn't even, it's such an incredible opportunity for them. So
is there even a benefit to making them move? Because like for me, the one benefit that I think of is, wouldn't you want as a player to be like, no, let me go on road games because I want to know what it's going to be like to be an actual pro where we're actually going on the road, playing at home. Like, I want that full experience.
You want to go on the road on a shitty plane, stay at a Red Roof Inn, and have to deal with a bunch of bullshit of being no, fuck no. These are coddled kids who are going to be the next multi-million-dollar products for the NBA. Yeah. We want only the best for them, Ricky. This is a pampering service.
You think Adam Silver's putting the G League in Red Roof Inns? I know they're not like the 5-star resorts.
I don't think they're getting. Yeah, I don't think they're getting 5-star resorts. Yeah. I think they're getting. They'd be lucky if they get a Hampton.
A Holiday Inn, Dave.
I think they're lucky if they get a Hampton, Ricky. Maybe a day 6. Yeah, like, I mean, honestly, you hear the stories because that's like you. I was fascinated by the whole MLB process for their minors.
Yeah.
And you hear about those 30-year-old, 32-year-old guys down there in the minors taking the bus, going on road trips, staying at shitty motels. That's the life. And some people love it and they're like, hey, I'm all about it. I will work, I will grind, I will get my opportunity eventually, kind of a thing. And it's giving up on a dream. It's very hard to do. So I understand why. But like, that's not the fucking environment. You want these basketball superstars to have at age 18 and 19.
Okay. Yeah, I was just throwing it out there because like there's just a part of me that thinks of the full experience of like, because yet again, like colleges, they're a little bit different because they're probably putting their players up in the nice hotels. I know that when I was calling games back in college, that they weren't like fucking expensive.
I'm trying to be over dramatic to make an example, but you get the point. Is like the whole thing with this year and Adam Silver was like, how do I make this as appealing as possible to pull top talent out of college, which we don't get money for, into something that we can monetize.
Mm-hmm.
Genius. I mean, this year has been a smashing success. And even with those numbers you tossed out there from today, struggles, that's awesome. Because guess what? If these 18-year-old, 19-year-olds rolled over all the talent in the G League every game and just looked like superstars, you're like, the fucking G League sucks if they're getting blown out by these 3 kids or 4 kids. Like,
they're winning though. That's the thing. They're winning,
but that's the thing.
They're not
it's
looking.
The balance.
Yeah.
It's not everybody's bringing it every night. You're getting veterans who are in the mix, who are helping them out. Like that's where I'm at. Like I love what this is. That's why I'm afraid of.
By the way,
we give everybody a star and hope for the best. Somebody's gonna draw the short fucking straw.
By the way, Jarrett Jack, fucking pretty good line today for a future Brooklyn net. Only 10 points, but went 4 of 8 from the field, 2 of 4 from 3, hauled in 5 boards, passed the ball, and got 4 assists. Like Brooklyn Nets. He's right there for you. Take him.
I'm telling you, he will sign before the season's over.
Oh, just take him. There's a part of me that thinks that like I wonder when we're gonna get, because like obviously JG4 was number 2, but I look down the line and the big question that I have that you can't answer, I can't answer, is next year. Will a Chet choose this over going to Gonzaga? Will an Amoni Bates, where right now Amoni Bates has already given a verbal to play for Tom Izzo and the right now struggling Michigan State Spartans this year, but will we get one of these number 1 guys say, hey, I want to go and play, and then if we're looking at 2023, it's DeJuan Wagner out of New Jersey, who right now
that'll
is leaning
change
towards
before the
Kentucky.
end of the fucking year.
Yeah, he's leaning towards Kentucky.
What about Bronny? Bronny gonna follow his father and just skip college?
That's the thing. Does Bronny have any like the only thing I can think of with Bronny, and yet again, it's either does he have a link to a California school, or is it one of those things of like, hey, my dad never went to play at Ohio State because that's where LeBron said he would have gone. Right. Fuck it, I'm going to Ohio. I'm playing for Ohio State. I'm going to do what my dad never did. I'm not saying he does that, but like I could see him easily skipping college.
Because like he's got no connection. Like I get your dad went there, but like or lived there, but like LeBron's got that connection because he grew up in Ohio. Bronny didn't grow up in Ohio.
Yeah, exactly.
Bronny grew up in a mansion in fucking California. Like
exactly. Like I don't see why he would skip over this. Like.
I think it'd be cool. I think it'd be very cool if Bronny went to the G League. Baller. I think, and again, here's the other thing. Like, if they schedule it right, it's just like the high school games where LeBron's sitting courtside yelling at his kid. Like, it would be so cool. I think that these would be highlight games that, like, during off nights, you would legit get like semi-famous people going to, building a hype around. Like, this is how you build a fucking culture. I love this, Ricky.
So here's the only question that I have, though, is would Zaire Wade decision alter Bronny to where do you think right now they're teammates or were teammates at Sierra Canyon? Because right now I have an article from what date is this? From earlier this year that apparently Zaire Wade transferred to Dwayne Wade reacts after frustration with the Sierra Canyon coach. Like they are buds, by the way, though. Bronny and Zaire.
Sure, yeah.
Does that then play into it with them to where it's like if both of them want to go to the G League, that's great. But if one wants to go to a college, does the other one go, fuck it, man, I want to play with you for a year. I'm going wherever you go.
I mean, we could see the team
fucking turn down either of them, by the way. Like Wade, LeBron, Suns, like if you're a college,
don't care how good they are.
Yeah, you're dumb for turning them down, not giving them a scholarship.
Agreed.
Just because you know D Wade's showing up to all those games. Then, like LeBron, obviously, he's playing because he's going to be playing with Bronny one day. But yeah, I've loved the success of this, and I can't wait to see where the future of the G League goes.